Here we go.
Okay. So I am opening this space to talk about scarcity and how scarcity manifests in women's lives. And what I've been discovering is that scarcity has many levels, and it usually manifests in one area, and this is the area that is most visible. But in fact, it has several layers, and there's usually a connection to a sentence. So there's this root for scarcity, and it changes from person to person. And in my case, the sentence that is mostly connected to me generating scarcity in my life is, I'm not enough. And so in saying I'm not enough, I'm already in scarcity. So I'm basically declaring that I am scarcity. And then there's these other places where I was putting on my attention of, okay, I don't have enough money, or my partner is not giving me enough love. So there were all these branches coming up from this thing of being scarcity. And what I want to open now and explore with you is where is it that you're sourcing scarcity? Where is it happening in your life? And I propose to do it here together in the main group, and just explore it with questions and navigate from there.
And whoever wants to start can just start speaking.
I notice that the first thing that comes alive in my body when I start noticing how scarcity like happens in me, it's this sort of like holding of my breath, and my energy goes out of me. It's like this kind of thing. It's like whatever is inside of me, I don't have access to it. It's like I have to be out there doing, and yeah, it's a real external thing.
Looks like you're putting your center outside.
Yeah, exactly. My center is way outside.
And there's this movement you're talking about of doing. So, so what I'm getting is that when there's this thing inside of you, that this switch of scarcity, it generates a movement, I'm guessing based on fear, and then you go and you have to do things. And why do you have to do things?
I get this, I have to please somebody quickly, like this fear comes alive in me, and I'm like, oh, I need to go and please somebody, or I need to go and figure out what somebody needs and quickly do that for them. And it doesn't matter about any of my own, what's happening inside of me at that time doesn't matter, like any of this connection to my own I just can't tell what I want in that moment. It's just like this, oh, quick, go do something.
And to keep on following that thread. You need to please somebody in order to. What
in
comes
order
after?
to get safety. It's like in order to get money, or in order to get this it's not even relaxation, but like a release, or like a yeah, this word for like scratching an itch, like it's like to get a sense of I'm okay for this amount of time until it comes up again.
So do you
I see.
have otherwise this imprint in you that you're not okay? Is that at the root of your scarcity? Or what is the root?
Yeah, it is something like I'm not okay, just as I am. Yeah, it's like an alarm, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Maria. I could resonate with that sensation of like going outward, and for me it's this real fear thing. Like it's kind of like my limbs start to want to move, and it is kind of like it's like this fear of the future, and it's like a fear, yeah, a fear of the future, of the unknown, like, and it's like a real mental thing of like all the possibilities that could happen in the future, and and yeah, I can feel it now when I say that. It's like this yeah, this real primal sabotage, how am I going to survive. But then when I kind of like search like deep down in my gut, like I have this like inner knowing that it is okay. Like it's just really this like story that's just like playing in my head in the future, and I'm very much into planning and organizing, and it's kind of it feeds on that. Whereas if I really go inward, and it's like I can like begin to like listen and trust, oh no, I am okay, and it will be okay. But yeah, and that fear is like a sense of, yeah, that fear of unknown and not being able to trust in what the future will bring.
Sophia, when you're saying all the possibilities that could happen in the future, are these problems, or what is it?
It's not even a current problem. It's a mind made problem or story, because everything in the present is okay.
So there's this connection to the future and the imaginary problem, and then this kicks in this other part of controlling, organizing, having things figured out.
Yeah.
And if you keep on going, what is the sentence? There's something connected to these things.
It's like a untrusting. It's like, yeah, it's like a holding on. It's like I can't trust that it will be okay. You know, like have sadness now. Oh, the sadness. Sadness is, yeah, something around not trusting. Yeah.
And who is it that you cannot trust? Or what is it that you cannot trust?
Not necessarily who, but it's the unknown. Like it just feels yeah, it's just this fear again of like the fear of the unknown and sadness that I can't trust it.
And so you cannot trust that what?
I can't trust that it will be okay, that the universe has um
Yeah, say that. Is it the universe?
the universe is like got me in its picture or something like that. Like got me in its that it's holding me, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The universe is
Thank you.
not holding me.
Mm-hmm.
Josephine, thank you.
Thank you, Sophia.
As you were speaking, what was coming up for me is like, I can't trust myself to function without a plan. Like, I can't trust myself to keep creating in the unknown. Like, I'll stop functioning as soon as I don't have a plan anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to check with you. How is it that scarcity is happening in your lives? Where is it happening? How are you noticing scarcity?
Yeah, and I want to mention or add that there's so many areas in your life that you may have scarcity, like money, time, love, as Sonia already said, but it could also be not enough friends, not enough resources of some sort, not enough community, not enough. Whenever you have this thing of, I don't have enough of that, what is the scarcity that shows up in your life where you don't have enough?
The first thing that comes for me is that I don't have enough time to do what I want to do. or create what I want to be creating and working on. And that keeps playing out again and again and again, because I find all these ways to make sure I do many things before I actually get to the thing that I want to be creating.
Mm. And what are those things that you do before you do the thing that you actually want to create?
I do the job that I get paid for. I tidy and clean and go ahead and check like social media and things that aren't necessary. Yeah, I notice when I go into that question, I see that I go, it's like I've got all these parts of me that I have to make sure they're all under control, like blocked, all those holes in the dam, like, okay, make sure that's handled, make sure that's handled, like make sure I've worked hard enough, make sure I've looked after the dogs, looked after the kitchen, looked after the garden, looked after my family, and it's like I get that all blocked out before I can go ahead and just like sense into what it is that I want to be being with as it's emerging through me. Like, and in this case, it's my writing, like the thing I want to be writing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it shows up with time, like time is short. Like I've got to fill my days. Everything has to be meaningful, or not even. I kind of make up these excuses, but it's also around time and time management. And again, I have like this control thing over my time. So like block my section into my time into sections, and yeah, try and make time slots for all these kinds of things. And then the other thing I have scarcity over is money as well. And even if I have money, I'm kind of like controlling it in a way. But I found also that when I trust both aspects, that it kind of falls into place. Like I never run out. I never like, yeah, I'm homeless or have nothing, or yeah, I have this fear that I will, yeah, that I won't have enough. But I think the one that shows up most in my life is the time, and I've done a fair bit of PhDs around that, but it does show up in many different aspects. That time is short, time is running out, something like that.
Sophia, can you say more how time is not enough for you? So you want time, it seems that you want time to do something. and it is not enough. And so what is that you want time for?
Yeah, I don't even know. What what it really is that I want time for. I think it's something around like having free time, like freedom where I'm not locked into something, or I don't feel like I need to do this or that. And it's like this much, yeah, the story that I have to do this and this and this before I get this free time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For me, it comes with this not being enough. And so there's a lot of, I don't have the skills to do something. And so I cannot generate what I want to generate in my life. And that could be create a WorkTalk or a rage club or have a partner, friends. And I noticed that it comes to the point where I don't even try. I'm not even trying to do the things because I already know that I'm not enough and I'm not going to do it. So there's this mechanism to actually not have those things, to not create those things. And what comes to me is that by listening to your sharings and to my own sharing, and I don't know how is that for you, Yulia? It seems that there's a trap set up so that the result goes to this root sentence, this first thing that I'm not enough, or I'm not okay, or I cannot trust the universe. And what I'm noticing, and the distinction that I discovered, is that the not being aware of my energetic body and the creative power, the creative force that I have in myself, I am creating scarcity, an abundance of scarcity, without being aware of it and saying that I'm not abundant.
So you're always creating abundance, and you're just creating an abundance of scarcity.
And it's this image of being something, of being a bird, and having this story that I cannot fly while flying, and keep on saying, I'm not flying, I cannot fly, I want to learn how to fly. And then this flying keeps on happening, and the bird is not aware of it. So this is what's happening with us women when we're saying, I cannot source abundance, and we are sourcing abundance. But what type of abundance are you sourcing? It's abundance. So it's an abundance of scarcity and lack, and the mechanisms are there. It's this wheel.
I so get that. I've been walking around with this question for so long of like, what's my job? What's my job? And I've just been landed with all these jobs and I've got all these layers of work now. And I've got an abundance of jobs to do.
Yes.
Oops.
And that's the point where it's possible to shift identity. So if you are aware that you are doing it, and that is you that is creating that, you can start making different choices. So being aware of how are you doing it? What is the ingenious thing that you have set up in place that is creating that? And it's really ingenious. So Millicent, there's this thing of I'm not okay. And I don't have time to do what I want. So the mechanism you created is that you are going to do everything else before you get to that point of the thing you want to do. And when you get there, you don't have time because you have chosen to put your time and attention to other people and to other things. And then you go to that place where, okay, I'm right that I'm not okay, and that I don't have time, and it keeps on going. And you are sourcing that. So what are the ways that you can now go and create a different mechanism for yourself, and to use that creative force to source something else? Because it's magic. It's already this relating with life, with those forces, Sophia, you were just talking about. It's this ongoing dance with this, what I get is this big ocean all around me, and I'm in the ocean. And this ocean is all the forces, the archetypal lineage, the echo, the bright principles, they are all around. And when I shift my identity into I am creating, I am a creator, I start having this stock. And I start becoming aware of the things that are coming through me. And so what I discovered is that I can actually talk like and say, okay, so I was going through this swamp, and I was not having clarity about what was going on for me. So I sat on my bed and I spoke out loud and I said, okay, help me to help myself. And I was really aware, I was centered, grounded, and bubbled, and I was really aware of what I was saying, and that I was actually speaking to this life force, to these forces. And then the next day, I saw that this impulse, this big impulse, came to create a team to be with me while I'm dealing with my survival strategies. And this almost became unnoticed until I spoke today with Julia before this work talk. And I said, oh, this is one of the answers. So I've got an answer to my request, which is help me to help myself. And it's so subtle and it goes so quick that the box and the gremlin actually eat up like and take it out of the awareness these subtleties that are happening. And so for me, the next step is to become more and more aware of this energetic body, and what kind of language are you receiving that you're not seeing? How is echo moving? When someone comes to talk to you and says like, okay, I want to do this, and it somehow relates to something you've been thinking of that you want to create, are you grabbing that? Are you taking the thread and plugging it to that thing that was going on in you? And this is about becoming this weaver, this creation weaver, and going into this relation with this invisible ocean that is all around us. And so it's really about remembering that you are witches. And this has been forgotten for too long. And this bird that thinks that cannot fly and is flying is the witches that are being creators and being witchy, and you just don't remember. And you think that you're not doing that, and you are. You are just using these amazing tools to keep yourself safe, because at some point it was not safe. And you died, and you were tortured, or someone said, don't be crazy, shut up. That's not how life goes. And so comes to this point of, you are witches and you are creating. You are manifesting. With each thought that you are thinking, with your root sentence, you are creating. Every time the voice comes in, you are declaring. And you are like this it's like this stick with a light, and you are sending out the light. And what the message that is said in the light is this: I'm not enough, in my case. So I'm sending all this thing of I'm not enough. And it goes like waves, and then something comes back. Yeah.
And I want to add to that is that it's also part of that whole strategy is to find the evidence for, like what you said earlier, Sonia. It's like to find the evidence of I'm not in. So I'm sending out the message, and then my attention goes on focusing on finding the evidence for that. So my sentence is I'm not good enough, and then I find the evidence for, oh look, no one's coming to, like, you know, there's only 2 women in this WorkTalk, scarcity alarm. Here's my evidence. And instead, I could shift. Yeah, so here, it's so funny. Now Melissa comes. Isn't that amazing?
No, it makes perfect sense.
So, yeah, it's this,
There she is.
where am I focusing my attention onto as I, hello, Melissa, as I bring out,
Hello,
the, like,
Melissa.
as I radiate this belief, this old belief, this root of my not enoughness, radiating it out, and then looking for the evidence that that is so, is part of the creation process.
And I want to grab onto what you just said, Julia, because this is one of the ways that you can shift your identity. So if you get the evidence, it means that you are creating. So at that point, instead of, oh, I'm right about this, you go, okay, this is my creative power. I am doing it. And use this evidence to put your foot on this other identity of, okay, I forgot that I'm a witch and that I'm creating. And this is the evidence that I am a creator. And you take a small step to the side and you go into, okay, what is that I want to create? And you source a new sentence. Mm-hmm. The other one is not going to go away because it's part of your structure. So there are things that you can do, like a mimetic engineering process, or becoming aware of the structure itself. And when you become aware, it has less force, less power. And at that point, you come up with a new sentence, whatever you want, and you say it out loud from your center and from this new identity.
Yes, so I would like to say hello to Melissa and just catch them up so that we can travel
With
together to the
Melissa
next.
in.
Yes. So.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Melissa.
Hello.
It seems I was focusing on abundance of sleep, which is something that I was focusing on actually last night.
You
So it's
created
nice to
that.
see your face.
Yay. You created an abundance of sleep.
Yeah, and I didn't set an alarm. So it's nice to
Okay.
see you all.
Yeah. Glad you're here and you made it. And we're coming from this territory of scarcity. We all have topics of scarcity in our lives. And at the root of the scarcity is a belief. Like I'm not good enough, or I'm not enough, or the universe doesn't have my back, or I'm not okay, whatever your root sentence is. And then we go and create abundantly, like the fruits out of that scarcity sentence or the scarcity root. And so the distinction that Sonia brought was that we are creating abundance all the time. Just an abundance of scarcity in that case, if we're unconsciously creating from that root sentence.
Mm.
And so we're now in that exploration of, or still in the context setting of, yeah, I loved what you say, Sonia, about the bird that flies and keeps telling itself it's not flying. It's like I'm creating abundance all the time, even if it's a scarcity of abundance of scarcity of time, of money. And I keep telling, but I don't know how to create. I'm not a creatress. I don't create abundance. So it's just like the bird saying, while it's flying, I'm not flying. I'm not flying. How does this fucking flying go? I don't know how to fly. Yeah, I love that example. So back to you, Sonia. You were on a roll.
And Sophia, I just muted you because there was this background sound that was going on. So if you want to speak, unmute yourself. So I was in this place of shifting the identity, and when the evidence come that, okay, my story is real, I am not enough, or I am not okay, or I don't have enough time. This is the moment that you can use to shift the identity, because you're having a proof that you're actually a creator, not that you don't have enough time, or that you're not okay, or whatever, or that I'm not enough. I'm actually, the proof is that, oh, okay, I'm a witch. I just remembered. And I just got this proof that I am a witch. And at this point, you use this as this lever, as a lever
Fulcrum.
to shift. Can you say that again?
Fulcrum, like that's the fulcrum point.
Yes, and I was saying more like to not use your own energy to shift identity, like to force yourself to shift identity. If you look at the evidence as this, you are already getting evidence. So, okay, this is the evidence that I'm a witch, that I'm a creator. you don't use up your energy to get yourself out of there. You just take one step to the side and you're already seeing the abundance and the proofs that you are a witch. So it's just a tiny movement to the side. Like you lean into the thing and you go into the other space. Do you get it? Okay.
Yeah.
And so now I have this, yes, Julia.
Well, I wonder whether it would make sense to go into breakout rooms and just have a short exploration of that. Where are you creating, to find evidence, what you're creating, and share and shift and say, and try, like to try on that shift. Something we could
Yes,
practice.
that's the proposal.
Okay, cool, go.
So you're connected. So the proposal is to go into breakout rooms and do this exploration of what are you are in this identity that, so for myself it's this, I'm not enough, and you step in that identity and then you start naming, person A starts naming all the evidence, like, so okay, someone did not register to my rage club, to the rage club I'm creating. This is the evidence that I have for me not being enough. Or there are only 3 people in the WorkTalk. And then say them out loud. And the person B, you can help person A and ask questions to help her unfold the evidence that she has. And then person, hey, you're going to go to this point where you realize, you start looking at the evidence as this, okay, I am a creator, I am creating this. And you notice this energetic shift inside of you. So there's the signature when there's this identity shift. Notice this, because this will guide you when you are doing whatever you are doing in your life, and you will use this as a guide to shift identity. So you already know the sensation and the distinction in yourself to shift. Do you have questions or on this? Or Julia, do you have something to add?
No, I just wonder whether there's questions. Seems like there are questions in the space.
Okay.
So you said we're helping unfold the evidence, looking at the evidence, and then noticing that it's you that's creating the scarcity or whatever it is, the abundance of whatever, and so that is what you're noticing, that, and then taking a step sideways to like use that creative energy to create something else.
Yes. And it comes from what Julia said of, you are a witch and you don't remember you are a witch. It's like the bird. The bird is flying, saying, I cannot fly. I need to learn how to fly. How do I fly? And it's already flying. And the distinction is that you are a witch, being a witch, doing witchy things, and sourcing an abundance of scarcity. And you're thinking, oh, how do I source abundance? How do I do this? While doing it and not being aware of it. And at this point, you have all this evidence that confirm that your story is true. That you are scarcity or something like this.
Yeah, I want to say at that point, it's like you're really doing this elegant, like when you're hooked, you have this red cloth. It's a bit like that. You're you're letting the evidence run through the red cloth, and you just let it go by. The evidence for the story that you're not good enough, and you turn your attention or your energetic body more to, I am a creatress. Wow. Like even saying I'm a witch, or I am a creatress, I'm a sorceress, I source in abundance. And to be in awe of that, also to let yourself be in awe of your power to create that. And I want to put a caution there to, it's not for you to beat yourself up. Yeah, it's not about saying, oh, I create that. Oh shit, I create that. I create that abundance. I don't want that abundance, but I create that. So it's not that. What I hear from Sonia's invitation is this, is really putting your cloak on, your sorceress cloak. Let the thing go by and make this energetic body shift or turn, or I would invite you to shift really with your energetic body to see which movement is it that supports you in that shift. And
I
we're
should have known that I was
and-
signing up for a mage class with 2 witches.
I have something to add to that, which is you're going you're going to use the stories as an energetic handle to grab on and to shift identity.
Energetic handle.
Yes. So there's it's like once you notice the stories, you can put your hand on them and they become solid. They become this handle. You grab onto it, and then what you're doing is that you're choosing to go to a different place using this handle that are this evidence that you have. So this is already you being a witch and creating something else. So you're grabbing onto it. Okay, I'm seeing this. Okay, hold on. And you grab it and you're turning it. And as you turn it, okay, this is the evidence that I'm a witch. And you can go to the next space, which is, I'm a creator, and what can I create from this now? And you remove yourself with this handle to a new space. So it's using
I
what
just missed that
already
last line. You
exists.
remove yourself from what?
From the space you are in and the identity you are in. So you are in that moment, you are in that identity that you are scarcity, and that you're having, oh, this again, this happened. And when you get this evidence, you have this reminder, and you just, it's like it becomes solid, and you grab it. You really grab it with your energetic hand, and you pull it to the other side. And okay, I'm flying. I'm actually flying right now, and I'm not aware that I'm flying. You can use this as a segue phrase. It's, I'm flying. Okay, this is what happened. I remembered. I'm flying, and I'm not aware that I'm flying. Now I am. And this opens the door to the other place. And the handle is noticing the evidence. And you grab onto it and you turn it.
Mhm.
Okay, how long do you think, Sonia? And there'll be a one group of 3. I propose we both go in, so there'll be one group of 3.
Yes. I'm thinking about 4 minutes per person to notice the evidence and shifting in the no.
Let's do 4.5 for the people that are 2, and then it's 3 minutes each in the group of 3.
Okay, for the evidence and for the shift.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you have any more questions before jumping into the rooms? Okay. Great. To discover is because I'm sensing a lot of joy. Do
The
you have
learning as we go.
the learning what?
Learning as we go. The learning happening, winning happening.
Can you
The
say more
evidence in
about that?
progress. Oh, who's actually in charge of the time? And oh, but we need to go back. But oh, but I've created this extra space maybe. And oh, what can we do with that? And oh, yeah, that bit was fun.
Thank you.
Yes, my main taking away is I create all the time. I am, and it was so obvious because I was like, time is up. I created that time scarcity in myself, and already by the end, Millicent was ready to. We were ready to shift. Already 4.5, 5 minutes were gone. It's like, oh, the other two are now shifting, and then I had this inner pressure, and then so I was creating that, and then Melissa was turn, and then I was like, oh, I don't even know that I have enough time to have any turn, and then it's like, and then Melissa asked, so who's choosing that? What are you creating? And then noticing, yeah, how I'm creating that, all of that I was creating. Yeah, it's really powerful to own that without the blame game, just to own it and to see, okay, what do I want to create with it instead, and what am I also, yeah, there's also, when I create and I choose what I create, there's always in a way there's always a price to pay.
Can you say more about that, Julia? About the price to pay?
Yeah, and that when I create more time, when I instead of creating the scarcity, when I'm creating more time for myself, and it's just, okay, now it's my turn and I'm gonna go and see what happens. Maybe Sonia will call us back, or maybe not. I'll just go. Yeah, the price I pay is that I create, I in a way I create also chaos. Or the price I pay is that I didn't create the clarity. That I didn't create the clarity. So then there's always a price, or there's always a consequence. There's a consequence of my actions. And when I'm creating the scarcity of time, I'm putting that in the space, and I could really sense how Millicent was in that, or that's my story. I had the impression that, Millicent, you were in this scarcity of time with me. Like you could sense this time pressure in me. And so you couldn't really unfold into your experiment. And so that's a price I pay with my scarcity creation. You know, that price has this money attachment thing. It's more the result that I create. I create results all the time. What did you find, Sonia and Sophia, and anybody else?
I discovered two amazing things, which is the first one. There's this. It came through this exploration with Sophia. There's this filter that is created, that it's like a lens, that is, I'm in scarcity when I'm not actually in scarcity. And just by looking at the filter, just by starting to look at, okay, where is scarcity in my life? The filter comes down and the stories come down. And then what I noticed that to get to the handle was to go through the process of how I am creating the scarcity. So, for example, I'm creating debts. And so I started going backwards to see how I go into the debts. And while I was doing it, I it is about radical responsibility. I owned my process, my creational process of the debt. And in that moment, I was able to shift the identity. And when I was listening to your sharings, it was something similar. You were noticing, okay, how am I doing this? This is the evidence. How am I getting to this result, And it unfolds. It's like the mechanism shows up, and this is how I go into I get the handle and I shift it to the creator process. And I noticed this opening. There was this opening, and joy started bubbling up. And now I went for the isolation, for example. There's this thing of people are not calling me. I'm alone. I don't have any friends. And then I start moving backwards. Okay, how is this happening? Okay, I'm staying at home all the time. I'm not going out to meet new people. I cannot meet new people at home. And then the second thing was, I'm not calling people. I'm not picking up the phone to call people, to talk with people. So this is the next thing. And it would keep unfolding if I would kept on going. So this was the place where, oh, okay. And there's this relaxing movement in the system, and I own it. This is what I discovered about grabbing the handle.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, as Sonia was saying, it was really, as I was talking about my scarcity with time and wanting to control it and manage it and so on, as I was talking about it and going back to that space, and then in that moment, like when Sonia asked, okay, so are you actually in scarcity? And I was like, well, no, I don't really have ever really experienced a moment of scarcity in my life. It's just really the stories created around it, and just having that perspective, I've really felt that shift is like, yeah, it's all really these stories of scarcity, but in the big picture, I have an abundant life, and and um and and so yeah, that it kind of like came as I was talking through it, and I see that perspective time and time again, but it's just this going back to the nitty gritty thing, and that's where I yeah will find that handle to take that perspective to shift into the bigger picture of actually seeing it for the bigger picture rather than the managing, the controlling side of it.
Sophia, when you say going into the nitty-gritty thing, what is that? Can you say more about that?
It's like the details of that moment.
Okay.
Like the finer details of that moment, but in the perspective, it doesn't actually really matter.
So it's like amplifying a part of the reality, making it bigger and bigger and bigger. These details, and amplifying it, and this is what is, and what's around is not there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Making like a drama out of something small.
And I'm guessing there's emotions there. You spoke about fear.
Yeah, there's fear and there's sadness there.
Yeah, thank you. That that sounds like gateways for healing processes, which would help for the
Yeah.
grip of the story, which is more in the emotional body probably than the intellectual body. It's driven by the emotion. For that grip to
Yeah.
be able to loosen.
Yeah. No, as I was talking about, I was recognizing that, yeah, it's definitely a gateway there for thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Sophia, there's no longer noise on your phone.
Ah,
So no need to mute yourself.
Anything from you, Millicent?
No, I notice I feel the sadness and fear that I'm not healed enough to get a grip on this energetic switch yet. And it's sort of making me like feel a little bit left behind. And I think more than anything, I just found a doorway to my next EHP in that process.
Yes, and you're right in it. You're right in the creation process. You're not enough healed. That is the creation process. Get that? So you could just be
No.
there right now. Yeah, right now.
So connect with that sensation, Millicent. Something was happening in the breakout room. You were seeing something. It was an evidence that you are not there yet. You have another doorway to go through. What is it that you were seeing?
Or I could see that I was not able to put words to what I was experiencing, and I wasn't able to answer questions quick enough, and yeah, and I couldn't stay like with my story clear enough.
Okay, those are 3 evidence already. That you cannot do it, that you're not enough. You are sourcing it right now. Yeah, stay there at that point. And you are putting your attention on something that was giving you these evidences. So where is it that you get the sense of, I'm not being clear about my story? What is your reference? It's like you have a measure of what is to be clear, how to do the practice, in how much time, and you are looking in that direction, and then your evidences come up. And it seems that you're feeling something. Millicent.
I just feel sad and a bit scared because I'm a little bit lost. Like I'm not really sure what the yeah, I'm not really sure what it is to make the shift or something.
Would you
Yeah,
like,
I feel angry at myself. Yeah, go.
I think this is it's brilliant that you're experiencing that, because that is exactly what you know from your life, right? When you get to the scarcity point, it's like, it looks like you're folding in, like you're falling inside yourself. It's like you're giving up. And then you're angry at yourself and you're scared you're not getting it. And it's like implosion. And so that's a reference point. So if you make a screenshot inside of yourself of that, this is what it feels like when you're creating something. And you're creating something where your focus is on, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not healed enough for this. I have to give up. And as Sonia said, it's magnificent that you came up with this strategy. It's not bad, right? Like, you are a witch. You have the power to create that result in yourself of, whew, I'm giving up here. It's not possible for me. This is not available to me. This is available for the others. It's not for me. And that is powerful that you can create that. Can you see that you are creating that? Like, can you say that even? Like, wow. Like, can you sort of stand next to yourself and say, wow, what a powerful witch. You can create, like, I create that.
Yeah, I create this.
And Millicent, stay with us. Just be, right now something is happening that, and I'm really happy that this is happening, because it's happening while we're talking about it. And there's this slow movement of going away. And my invitation is for you to lean on this space and connect with me, with Julia, with Mel, with Sophia, from your heart. Make the connection and stay with what's happening inside of you. Yeah, that. I have a question, Millicent. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
What is it that turns you on?
Go being with the river and the trees and the animals.
What about learning mage skills?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you sense what's bubbling inside of you right now? Just before going into the exercise, There were distinctions being landed in the space. And you had this smile coming up. That's the fire. That's the identity shift. There's this hunger in you to learn mage skill.
Yeah. I feel like heat coming up from my heart.
You said heat? Okay.
Yeah.
You just shifted. Did you notice?
Yeah.
Okay. Get that in your body. What's happening right now? That's the signature. And your fire is much more than going to nature. You're a witch. And you are burning to learn mage skills. That's one of the things, just one of them that I got here while looking at you. And then there are many others, and these are your handles. Thank you for going into this experiment here in the group.
Thank you.
Okay, I have the next practice following this discovery space with you, Millicent, which is there's this burning thing inside each one of us. It comes from a seed that we as women have. And this seed is located in a part of your body, and it's energetic. And the seed has this message to the world. And when you get in touch with this burning fire, this burning fire is one of the arms of the seed. So it's like it's connected to the purpose of the seed. So in your case, Millicent, one of your seed's arms, it's this burning thing of mage skills. It's something about mage. And what I'm discovering is that when I connect to this burning thing, to this purpose that I have, I am sourcing the abundance. I am sourcing the abundance in a different way. So it becomes less about me in this way of, I need to survive, I need to get money, I need to get this, I need to get that. And it goes more about this purpose that comes through. So it's still about me, but not with this light turned to me. So it's like there's the archetypal lineage, the bright principles, that these forces need me to come into the world. So I am the space through which they go through. And there are signs, there are like clues to know the way to be this passage. And one of my clues, for example, is this thing of waking up the witches, this deep care about women and their voice, and them realizing I'm a witch and moving through the world. And so the experiment, the proposal is to go into breakout rooms, and to person A starts connecting to this purpose. What is really that I care about? So Millicent, for you, there's this thing about mage. Why is this burning in you? Why is that this is so turning you on? There's something underneath that. And go on exploring that purpose. And then from that, have this clarity that you're going to create something from this. Gonna give an example. I have this deep care about women, and I got this clarity of rage is something important that I want to do. And so I created a rage club for women only, connected to this purpose of I am doing this because I want to empower women, because women have a key. And in moving connected to this purpose, the field opened up and women registered to the rage club. I was not moving from the place of I need to get money or people will not show up. So when you get to that purpose that you have and you start moving from there, it's like you're getting a ride on a wave. And this is the abundance. Do you have questions?
Any questions from anybody before we go into the breakout room?
Okay.
So we go for how long?
I propose the same time as before, 3 minutes per person and 4 minutes.
Yeah, so
in the groups of
the last
two.
one was definitely too short, and so I think it would be better to have maybe at least 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes in the group of 3. Now it's just about, not just, but it's about finding the burning piece, yeah? The part that you burn for.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would give that 4.5 minutes each. That's 4.5 for in the 3, that's 9. Let's say 15, let's say 5 minutes each, 15 minutes. Is that
Okay.
enough? And then, so it's divided by 2 and
Yeah.
then group of 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and person B, you can ask questions to help with this navigation. If you get something, if your sensor is scanning something, ask the question.
Yeah, and as a hint, connect, like really scan with sort of your heart and your archetypal body for the archetypal burning fire in this other woman. Just like Sonia did with Millicent. It's like you can sense it. Okay. Let's go. there like one sentence from each to share of her purpose that she's connected to, or that you have connected to?
Yes, my sentence is, I care about people's potential and their purpose, and I want to create spaces to empower them and to break the prison where they are in, for them to come into their full potential and to fly. This is my sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. Mine is to create, like, and it's to is similar, and it's different. A different angle on it is to bring out the, like, to support women to be so alive that they create from their own necessity with the piece of the puzzle that they have, and to go into this radical collaboration with each other, because yeah, I need your creation. I need your creation because I cannot create what you create. Millicent, you were starting?
Mine, I want to learn well, I care about mage skills, and this is because they allow for evolution and transformation. And now is the time for that. Let's see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For me, it was connection with nature and all life, and healing through community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia.
I create space I create queer and trans inclusive space for people to step out of their prisons and be fully alive.
Thank you. It sounds like we all got a handle. Like, I propose you write that in bold letters and put it somewhere where you can see it easily. And we have a recording, so you can also listen to it again and write it down. And this is like the first step to creating, is that you know your purpose or what you're burning for right now. I want to put that also clear, that this is not, this is you're an alive creature, and your purpose you can find other layers of your purpose. Like Sonia said, there are these tentacles or branches of your seed. So this is one part of it, and you don't have to limit yourself to that. And it's something worth running with, to grab it and run with it, and that as a basis to then go into specific creations from that. Or how do you bring that into the world? How do you bring that into your life. And that would be part of project, like really bringing a project to life, your projects to life, connected to your purpose, creating this abundance as an outflow from that purpose. And yeah. So I've been speaking with Sonia before this call about something that's popping up for me is that I want to travel with other women in these realms of let's take our purpose, do a 3 months journey together and really bring projects to life. And if you want to be part of that, or if you're interested, then this is really just bubbling and birthing as we speak, then let us know and we can update you with the information. Yeah.
And it's this it's this follow-up to the creation part. And how is it, the question that I want to leave here is, how is it now to use this purpose as your point of origin to move throughout life? And every time that you shift into another identity of scarcity, to have this purpose as this point of origin. I have a purpose. This is my purpose. This is what I'm burning for. And move from there. And this is, yeah, this is what's alive in me right now. And it's also what I want to bring to this project with you, Leah, with women moving into this point of origin and going to the next step and moving from there together, like side by side, in the direction of something like warrioress witches.
Yulia, I would like, can you do a do-over with your invitation?
Yes. Do you have feedback? What? Okay, yeah, I'll shift to my purpose. Okay. Yeah. I'm wanting to, it's like,
You're wanting to?
no. So I'm okay. Thank you. I'm creating this 3 months journey with Sonia, where it's about bringing this purpose into real form, and it's like taking it from this ethereal, abstract thing, and it's like milking the heavens and bringing it really into life and creation, going into the conscious creation part of it from that purpose. So in a way, it's a women's project management team, and it's not, because it's a next culture creation team. And the fuel that drives me is that, what is all this possibility management stuff for if I'm not creating something with it? So it would be applying the feelings, the emotions as a team together, traveling for 3 months, going through the healing processes necessary as they come up from your necessity in your project, in the creation part, as well as you might encounter your gremlins, like lying fat, like snoring in front of your handle, right? And so working with the PM tools in relation to a creation process that is connected to your purpose, no matter how big or small it is, with a team of women that have a sword and that have also this commitment to your commitment. That is my invitation.
So what is your call to action?
do you want to be part of that, or do you want to have, like, that's my first question. Would you like to be part of that, or
Yeah.
yes? Cool.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. I'll let you know more information and be in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you. That would be great.
Thank you, Julia, for going for it and for sourcing it right now.
Yeah, and thank you, team, for being already on the side.
Okay. Is there anything else before closing the space that you want to bring or share?
I do have a legend. I have a legend that I want to share.
Go.
Yes. I was once sitting in a room on a weekend with a whole lot of people, and we were all inside on computers and talking quietly. And once the door burst open, and this person who was 600% alive said, "Oh my God, there's a waterfall. You have to come and see." And all these people who were quiet and grey and dead were like shocked, like, what the fuck is this? And this energy like totally transformed the space, and everyone was alive and went as quickly as they could to visit this waterfall. And the whole day just like turned on its head, and people were alive and in nature, and there was this abundance of joy, and it was so close to where we were living, but we had not even dared to look.
Mel.
And so sometimes there's things really close to where we're living that are magic, and there are mages who can connect us with these things. That is my legend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. I'm so touched.
It sounds to me like you know the mage and she's here.
Yeah, I do know this mage, yeah.
Is she
She
here?
can transform faces. Yeah. Her name's Millicent.
It was me.
Thank you for sharing this inspiring legend.
Thank you all.
Thank you for opening this space, Julia and Sonia, the magic woman.
Thank you. And we'll be sending you the recording of the WorkTalk so you can see it again